Welcome to the Walter Bosley channel. Glad you're here. Of course, I've been thinking about time travel this week. I find it much more interesting than UFOs and most of the other things we talk about. As I've said before, I think it's possible, but I suspect that it's not possible with material technology, with a machine. And there are reasons that have been pointed out by both enthusiasts and skeptics alike. But I still think it can be done. How? I think it's something that we are capable of, or that is possible, I should say, after we die. Now, before I elaborate on that, let me go back to other non-technological, as in non-machine methods of time travel that I myself have, researched and discussed. Things that other writers have written about for years. As you know, I like to return to Jack Finney and Richard Matheson, who wrote two, not together. Jack Finney wrote one, Matheson wrote the other. Probably the two best time travel novels, other than the classic H.G. Wells, the Time Machine, of course, but the two best time travel novels of the 20th century. And they were contemporaries. Finney's came out in 1970, and Matheson's in 1975, and had some similarities in method. And that was that their protagonists could travel backward in time with the power of the mind, more specifically the mind with will. And their methods were almost identical. Now, I write about this with Todd Wood in The Mystery of Ingersoll Lockwood. I write about the Finney novel, the Matheson novel. I have talked about the rather deep analysis that Sechery and I have done of both the Matheson novel and the film produced from it, which he wrote the screenplay for, at least a draft of it. But that, of course, is fiction. However, as discussed in The Mystery of Ingersoll Lockwood, and as considered privately between myself and Sechery, the Finney, and then, of course, subsequently the Matheson methods, eerily resemble, I said. They're not identical. In the fiction, it is externalized. But it resembles remote viewing, the legendary and infamous remote viewing. Now, there are those who just don't believe it's real at all. There are those who aren't sure what to think of it. I myself, for full disclosure here, I myself have practiced it, you might say, and I'm convinced that I got some startling results. However, I still have issues with it. However, it is in scientific remote viewing that I think the closest thing to time travel, so to speak, that can be done by a living human being, a living individual, is remote viewing. And that is to be done in the aspect of remote viewing in which it's claimed that the viewer is able to see through time and space, of course, but not physically go there. Again, I come back to my suspicion that we're not able to travel through time while in our corporeal, physical, material bodies. The most we can do, I think, is look through time. I will have some thoughts down the road on the issue of going backward, going forward, how and why and such. But I do think, I suspect that after death, we are able to do this. And that'll be the topic of another Walter Bosley Bits. Thanks for listening. I'll be back.